Welcome to Lenny's Place, presented by my friends at Dale Stallions. Will he do it? If I had a dime for every time I've been asked that question the past couple of weeks, I'd be at least $2 richer than I am now. Like everybody else, I don't know the answer to the question, but I'll be happy to give you my opinion a little later in the show. There's nothing better than New York and Belmont Park with a triple crown on the line. The anticipation is like being at a heavyweight championship fight. And as the years mount between triple crown winners, it just gets bigger and more electric in the run-up to the big day. There's nothing worse, however, than the annual hatchet job done on racing this time of year by the New York Times, which recently played up a story about American Pharoah owner Ahmed Zayat allegedly owing millions of dollars to a convicted felon. The story has nothing to do with racing. It has no interest to any racing fan, and it does nothing but take away from the sport and this great event. Hey, guess what? Ahmed Zayat isn't an angel. Neither am I, and neither are you. So let's have the New York Times try to cover racing for, I don't know, 5 years or so before it runs the next hatchet job on the sport. A lot of people are rooting for American Pharoah to win the Triple Crown because it would be, quote, good for racing, unquote. Will there be a short-term bump in awareness if he wins the Belmont? Absolutely. When you accomplish something in sports that hasn't been done for 37 years, you deservedly get recognized for it. American Pharoah will bring new fans into the sport if he wins the Belmont. Question is, can racing hold on to those fans? I mean, American Pharoah has a shelf life of 2 or 3 races tops after the Belmont. What will new fans think when he's whisked away to retirement? They will become former fans real quickly, I'm afraid. I mean, what would fans think if LeBron James retired after his 2nd season? If Tom Brady retired so quickly, he didn't even have time to cheat? Point being, American Pharoah isn't going to save racing when racing can't save itself. Joining us now is an expert on winning the Triple Crown. In fact, he's the last jockey to do so, and it's always good to run into and to talk with Steve Cauthen. Thanks so much for dropping by Lenny's Place today.
All right, buddy. Always a pleasure.
Steve, when a horse wins the first 2 legs of the Triple Crown, I know all kinds of people like me start calling you and bothering you. And I just want to know, do you root for a horse to win the Triple Crown just so we stop calling you every year? Or do you like the attention and root for a horse not to win the Triple Crown?
No, I've never rooted against anybody that had a chance to win the Triple Crown. It's kind of been amazing that it's taken so long, for it to, to happen. I mean, certainly I never thought it was going to be 37 years, after I did it. In fact, after I did it, everybody was talking about how they needed to make it tougher. It was getting too easy. It had been a long spell between Citation and Secretariat, and then, of course, the 70s was a great decade, and, it truly takes a great horse to do it. Secretariat, Seattle Slew, Affirm, were truly great horses. Right behind him came Spectacular Bid and looked like he was going to do it. And, it's just a special thing. It takes a special horse. You need good fortune, throughout the Triple Crown series. You can't afford to have things going wrong. No coughs, no, pins in their foot or bruised speed or anything like that. Any small thing, even for a really good horse, can cost you the Triple Crown. But it's I think everybody's ready for it. I'm ready for it. It's unlike the Miami Dolphins, who were the only team to ever do that. There's been 11 other Triple Crown, 11 Triple Crown winners. I'm part of a special team, but it's not like we're closed for entry. We'd love to have another great horse come along and get the job done.
So you're not drinking champagne every year when it doesn't happen, in other words.
No, I think it's
okay.
Maybe more so my family, or people that they want to see me be the last one.
Hey Steve, who are some of the horses since affirmed? Maybe one or two horses that have come along with the chance to do it, who you thought had the best chance of doing it?
Silver Charm, I gave him a chance, but the fact is, he was winning. He won the Derby and he won the Preakness, but they were pretty tough races, And I think the fact was he just he ran into a little bit tougher, fresher horse, in the Belmont, and wasn't good enough to overcome it. Big Brown looked like a deadlock to me, especially I think the morning of the race. The one horse that looked like might be able to give him a little bit of a challenge. Casino
Drive,
Casino Drive, Scratch. So I thought, wow, that solves that, and then for whatever reason, he had an off day. And, the other horse that I actually thought had a chance was I'll Have Another.
Yeah.
Who obviously didn't even make it to the race, but, he looked like, with what he had to beat, he looked like he had a good chance of pulling it off.
Yeah.
Those would probably be the main ones. Real quiet. I don't know. I thought, if he'd have won, he might have been somewhat of a substandard Triple Crown winner, and he nearly did it. But obviously, it just takes a special horse to overcome the things that happen. They, year in, year out. It's no different for anybody. And of course, they're all taking on whoever shows up. And there's always fresh horses. Every year. There wasn't our year. The only difference was that they just weren't anywhere near good enough to challenge. Challenge us.
Well, what do you see in American Pharoah, Steve? Both pluses and minuses about his bid.
Well, obviously he's in great hands. Bob Everett's been there before. Victor Espinosa's been there before, so I think that's a big plus. They're not going to get flustered by things. In fact, I think they're just excited to have another shot at it. So that's a big plus. He's a beautiful horse. He's got a great, action. He's handled a lot of different tracks, California tracks, Oakland, obviously the Derby and the Preakness. So he seems to be very adaptable. And he seems like he has a good mind. I know he gets a little on his toes, like going over to the paddock and stuff. But once he gets once he's under attack and he's on the track, I've never really seen him turn a hair. So it seems like he's got a pretty good mind, which is important. And the big factor in the Belmont is, A, will he handle the distance, and B, will he handle the track?
Yeah.
Where, we won't know about the track because Bob's only, we'll find out on the day because he's pretty much he made his call to go back to Churchill. And the distance is always, you never find that out until the day they run. I mean, on his sire side, Empire Maker won the Belmont. So, you got that going for him. But, it really, I don't think a firm, a mile and a half was definitely not a firm best distance, but he got the job done because he was the best. He had the heart and the desire to win.
Yeah.
All he has to do is be better than the rest that he's running against. As far as getting the distance.
Hey, Steve, a couple of years ago, when you and me and your great friend Georgie Velasquez, who of course rode Aladar, we got together and did a big special on Affirmed in Aladar. And at the time, Georgie said something to me that really always stuck with me. After the first two races, he kind of decided to just throw tactics out the door when it came to the Belmont. And he said, I just decided to go after Affirmed. and let's see who's who in America. And besides being one of my favorite quotes in horse racing, is this horse American Pharoah, would he be best served just saying, let's see who's who in America, and just go out to the lead and kind of play come and catch me?
Well, I think there's a good chance he'll go to the lead. You know, I mean, because if he gets out there and he can relax and slow down the pace, there's no better place than being in the lead. In fact, unlike most people think, very few horses come from way off the pace and win the Belmont. Very seldom, they're always usually right there, thereabouts. Through most of the race. So, I don't see him being, anywhere far off the pace, and, I think there's a good chance he'll be on the pace. And if it rains, I think that he'll definitely be on the lead probably. And just as you say, make them come and get him. And, because in the end of the day, he'll either stay a mile and a half or he won't, and he's got a good cruising speed. And they all will have to, get by him to win.
Steve, for the fans lucky enough to show up, I take it you're going to be there with Mrs. Chenery and some of the other Triple Crown connections signing autographs at Belmont?
Yep, looks that way.
Great.
Back again. Try to see if we can get one home.
Yeah, well, for all the fans, it's always a treat and a pleasure, and always fun for me to run into Steve Cauthen. And Steve, thanks so much for being here. We'll see you in New York.
Okay, Lenny.
All
Good
right.
talking to you, buddy.
Take care, man. Love talking to Steve Cauthen. I mean, to accomplish what he accomplished at, what was he, about 14 years old when he won the Triple Crown? Exaggerating a little bit, but not by much. What a great accomplishment, and great guy, Steve Cauthen. All right. Am I rooting for American Pharoah to win the Triple Crown? Yes. Do I think he's our best 3-year-old this year? Yes. Did I pick him in the Derby and the Preakness? Yes. Have I picked against all 6 horses going for the Triple Crown since 2000? Yes. Have I been right to do so every time? Yes. If I'm Bob Baffert, I tell Victor Espinoza not to mess around. Go get the lead. Let's see who's who in America. American Pharoah, Frosted, Mubtahij, those are the horses that could win the Belmont. I have Frosted pipping American Pharoah at the wire, and I can truly say I hope that I'm wrong. Thanks to our viewers. I want to thank Steve Cauthen for coming on with us. I want to give a big shout out to my friends over at Dale Stallions who present this show to you. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. If you're lucky enough to be at the Belmont, enjoy it. Everybody else, have a great Belmont. Bye-bye.